Do you have an upcoming conference, convention, or networking event? Are you worried about how to deal with small talk with foreign colleagues? In this video, let's explore 10 generally accepted small talk topics for any business situation. Hello, I'm Cecilia, your guide and the heart behind culture confidence. Small talk, though seemingly simple, can be a delicate dance, especially when crossing cultural boundaries. Join me as we uncover 10 small talk topics and understand how to navigate them with cultural sensitivity. Small talk serves as the social glue that connects us, but what might be acceptable in one culture might not be in another. So here are the topics you can use without hesitation. We've got weather, cultural events, compliments, sports, hobbies and interests, travel, movies and TV shows, food and cuisine, books, and family. Now, don't stop there. Let me give you a little overview about each one and how they might be more acceptable in one situation versus another. Are you ready? Let's go. When talking about weather, this is very common in areas where weather is regularly changing, based on the season or other reasons. So you might find it in places like the US or Canada or British culture. Weather discussions are super common. However, in places where there's a more stable climate, it might just be kind of weird to talk about it. People aren't thinking about the weather because it's the same every day. So think about where you are when you're talking about the weather or where the person is from. About cultural events. Let's talk about non-controversial cultural events. So these would be news topics, human interest stories. These are great conversation starters. However, let's try to avoid politics. Some countries, people really love to talk about politics, and other cultures, it's more of a touchy subject. So for example, Americans, they can be a little divided over politics. So it's usually safe to avoid the topic because people get too emotional. However, in countries like the Middle East, you find that people talk about politics way more freely, and that it's almost just a normal part of the conversation of what do you think about this event? How did it affect you? People are very knowledgeable and they like to talk about it. Where are you? Where the person's from? This will determine how you can talk about current events and whether politics is acceptable or not. Compliments. Offering genuine compliments about someone's work is a positive way to engage in small talk. In certain cultures, you can also make a compliment about someone's appearance or an article of clothing, but you also have to be careful because in some cultures, such as Japan, compliments are downplayed to maintain humility, while in the US, sincere compliments are generally well received. In other cultures, you might find that if you compliment someone's clothing or a piece of jewelry, they feel obligated to give it to you. So let's stick to complimenting things that are very basic, like work, or, hey, you look really great today. Leave it at that, nothing else. Sports. Many people enjoy talking about sports, making it a generally safe choice. In the US, sports like American football or basketball dominate small talk, while in countries like India or Brazil, cricket and football might take the center stage. You might want to be careful about discussing football during the Euro match or the World Cup. However, because again, just like politics, people can get a bit heated. But on a typical normal day, ask them what team they represent, who they support, you're fine. Hobbies and interests. So people love talking about their hobbies and interests. It's a good way to also get to know the person better on a slightly more personal note. So bear in mind that in some Asian cultures, personal interest might not be as openly shared initially, while in Western cultures, it's absolutely normal small talk. Travel. This is like the heart for me. If you ask me about travel, I will talk for hours because I love delving into other cultures. And most people generally find travel a very safe topic to discuss during small talk. You can talk about recent travel experiences. If everyone is traveling to the conference, like, hey, what do you think about this city? Do you normally go to conferences? Talking about moving around is a very safe topic. In a global context, travel is a way to bridge gaps. But, be mindful about places where there might be travel restrictions to different people. So that could be only tricky if you're talking about countries that people are avoiding or there's some hot political issue going on. Again, politics. Okay, so movies and shows. This is usually a safe topic as well because people might not be familiar with the TV shows that you watch if you're crossing cultures, or they might be surprisingly familiar with TV shows from your country. It all depends. So ask them, what do they like to watch in their free time? What kind of movies, what kind of TV shows they're watching? And depending on where you're talking to people, Hollywood is usually dominating everything. However, there's also Bollywood, there's K-dramas, there's all sorts of stuff going on around the world. So people can talk about movies and TV for fun. Food and cuisine. Yum. Don't you love to eat tasty food? So talk about your favorite restaurants, your favorite foods. Okay, again, think, idea. You're networking, you're in an event, you're crossing cultures, like, oh, what's your favorite restaurant in town? Or, hey, have you tried such and such restaurant? Great way to break the ice, get a conversation going, keep it light, keep it surface level. And if someone brings up dietary restrictions, just bear in mind that's a topic to back off from. But otherwise, you can talk about food freely. Books. Inquiring about someone's reading preferences or recommending books is also generally a safe and interesting topic. Just be aware that you might want to avoid more touchy subjects like, let's not bring up erotica, okay? No. But business related books, when you're in a business setting, totally bring it up. Say, hey, the other day I was reading this book by so and so, and he was talking about this topic. Have you read it? One of the books I love to recommend when people are working cross culturally is The Culture Map. Hey, have you read The Culture Map? How does it apply to you in your life? Because we're both working in different cultures. How do you find it? Or bring up some other recent book like, Atomic Habits, anything that might break the ice, get the conversation going. Books and family. Okay, I saved this one for last because in some cultures, you absolutely should talk about family. In other cultures, it's a little taboo and too personal. So, how do you broach the subject? My personal preference is let the other person bring it up first. Okay, that's just what I would do. But you can also ask like, oh, if you see someone's wearing a wedding band, generally they're married. They might not be, but you can be like, oh, tell me about your family. But again, it depends on the context. It depends on the culture. Like for Americans, you might not want to talk about family unless the other person brings it up first. You could feel free to open by saying, my kids have a big exam coming up. I'm really excited, for where they're going to go in the future. Do you have any kids? See how they respond and bring your answer accordingly. Okay, so just 10 topics you can generally talk about with some caveats. So, how do you feel about mastering small talk? How do you feel about these different topics? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. What is acceptable in your country? What is not acceptable in your country? Let me know. And if you found these valuable and helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay confident. You've got this, and I can't wait to see you again.